Okay, let's add a couple more filters, and we also want to give the opportunity for the users to filter users by their age, as you can tell from the other queries we have down here. So let's head back to VS Code, and we'll go back to our user params first of all. And inside here, we'll give the users the ability to select an int of a min age. And we'll give this an initial value of 18. That's the youngest user that we're going to technically allow to sign up. And we'll say prop int of max age as well. And we'll just give this an arbitrary number of 100, but please feel free to set this to what you want. Then we don't need to do anything in our controller. We can just do this in our user repository. Now, the property we're working with for the date of birth is a date only, and we need to use date time functionality to actually work out what the minimum date of birth is that we should be looking for. So the minimum date of birth, and let me just add the variable and then explain what I'm trying to achieve with this property. So we're going to say min DOB, and this is the earliest date, so the minimum date. The minimum date of birth. So if someone was 100 years old, and let's say today is the year 2024, which it is, then the minimum date of birth for someone who's 100 years old would be 1924. So we need to work out, based on the maximum age that someone selects is going to be the higher age, so let's say that's 100, then we'd want the minimum date of birth to be a date in, if it's 100 years ago today, 1924. So I'm going to say date only, what we're going to set this to, but then we need to get this from date time, and then we can use date time functionality. So we're going to say date time dot today, and then we're going to add years, and even though it says add years, we can use this to minus years. So we're going to say minus, and we're going to say user params, and then max age minus 1. Because if the user hasn't had their birthday yet, then we need to take off a year from that. And then we'll say var max DOB equals date only from date time. Then we'll say date time dot today, and we'll say add years, and then we'll say minus user params dot min age, and then we can update our query. So we're going to say query equals query dot where, and we'll say x goes to x dot date of birth, that's greater than or equal to the min DOB, and double ampersand x dot date of birth is less than or equal to the max DOB. And that will suffice for the age filters as well. So let's just check the status of the API. Once again, it says it has succeeded, but I'm just going to restart it just to be certain on this occasion. And we can go and check in Postman to make sure our age filters work. And in this example, we're standing up a query string with a min age of 25. So all the users should be older than 25 that we return from this request. And let's take a look. And 28 for that user, 35, 35, 38, 44, 57, 34, and yeah, sure, they all look older than 25. If I check the max age of 40 and click send, then we've got a 28, we've got a 35, 35, and 38, and 34, and 39, and 18, and that looks fine. And if we take a look at get users in their 20s, people between 20 and 29, and click send, then we've got Karen and just Karen, who's in between that age range. So that looks okay. Probably easier to test in the client because it's a bit more visual for this kind of thing. And now we've got our filters set up, we'll next look at setting that stuff up in the client.